I'm going to take a word that is seen one way and I'm going to help us see it another way, and that word is questionable. Jesus was questionable. From the very beginning, he was questionable in Mary's womb. He was questionable because God chose a way to see him conceived that society was aghast over. He was a scandal from the beginning. Oh, that's Mary and Joseph's son. Remember the timing of that thing? Jesus was in the habit of touching people who were unclean, and they were unclean according to Judaism at that time because they were displeasing to God. Therefore, God had cursed them, and Jesus did the opposite. He was such a questionable figure. He touched that which would make you unclean, but he absorbed it and released cleanness to them. He talked to women, which was forbidden. He actually let them touch him. He was accused of being a party boy and a drunkard, and it didn't keep him from loving people and caring for people. The kingdom coming is that Jesus has said, now heaven is coming to earth through you. Heaven is coming to earth. That's why he taught us to pray this. Watch. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. The good news, the gospel, is that God has showed up and he's making everything new, one person at a time, one question at a time. One, is there really a God question at a time. Questionable people who are there to listen and give answers and release freedom and joy and healing and justice and peace and grace and salvation. All of these things we carry because you're a new kind of human being. You're not just saved, you're a carrier of the gospel. So here's what Paul says that begins to describe this. Colossians chapter 4, verse 5. Live wisely among those who are not believers. Stop a second. Are you living wisely among people in your life who don't know Jesus? Some people think that means keep your mouth shut, blend in. It doesn't mean that. And make the most of every opportunity. There will be opportunities with those who don't know Jesus. Let your conversation be gracious, not judgmental, not confrontive, and attractive. Why? So that you will have the right response for everyone. Do you know what right response implies? They're asking something. They're inquiring. They're curious. Are you willing for me to help you, says the Spirit, live a questionable life like Jesus did? He wants to teach you to live such intriguing lives that it results in curiosity. For example, when you have friends and you get together and hang out and say, hey, we're doing this thing called Alpha. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. All over the globe, people are going and having a meal together. And it's a good meal. That's the crazy thing. But are you open to going with me one time and having a meal? The main thing you just said was this: going with me. You have great power there, going with me. And that's being evangelistic without having to tell the whole story or be confident that you can. And that's what starts curiosity in people. Our capacity to announce this to people is in direct connection with our willingness to demonstrate it. What are the 5 lifestyle expressions or superpowers of questionable people? Proximity, being around. What we begin to realize is if the kingdom of God is inside of us in our quiet time, in our prayer with our friends or our spouse, then the kingdom of God is in us whether we express it or not. If we just realize, Jesus, you're here, and where we are, the kingdom of God is. Presence, that this is the lifestyle of a person who's really experienced the kingdom. You're present, you carry the presence of God, and you practice his presence. You know what practicing the presence of God? It's the realization that God is here in me, with me. That's presence. Passion. Oh God, obsessed to the point of aching, obsessed to the point of a willingness no matter what, obsessed with this desire. Prevenience. Prevenience means to precede. Let me tell you something. Every person you know in your world, God's gone ahead of you. Now we're led to proclamation. Up until this point, it's been your presence. It's been your passion, and it's been your love for Jesus. And now he will provide those opportunities for proclamation as simple as they were in my driveway. It's not just that he died and you can go to heaven. It's that Jesus changes everything.